This is 4 minutes, 53 seconds of infrared sensor video recorded in 2020 over the Arabian Gulf from a United States military platform. The clip was submitted by U.S. Central Command to AARO and later published by the Department of War under the Pursue program on May 8, 2026. The person who filed the report did not provide any oral or written description of the observation. Early in the clip, a discrete area of contrast moves into the sensor field of view from the lower left, and the imaging system begins to pan to keep it roughly in the same quadrant. For several moments, the object maintains position relative to the sensor, even as the camera shifts. At times, the area of contrast grows faint against the background and seems to disappear and reappear intermittently, an effect the file describes without making an analytical judgment. The operator narrows the field of view, and the system zooms into focus on the target, tightening the frame and changing how the contrast registers on screen. A short time later, the object exits toward the left and near the top of the frame, and the sensor responds by panning up and to the left to follow the motion. After that, the camera motion becomes more erratic, with the area of contrast appearing in a relatively fixed position to the left and slightly below center, while the platform continues to adjust aim. Midway through the recording, the imaging modality is switched, and the feature briefly appears to the right and slightly above center. Later, the system toggles modes again, and the area of contrast returns to the earlier position to the left and slightly below center. Across the clip, those changes in modality and framing affect how distinct the object looks and complicate visual continuity. There is no accompanying narration or report text to explain environmental conditions, sensor settings, or any corroborating ground observations. The published file is presented as an informational submission to AARO from Central Command, cataloged under the Pursue program, and the case is listed as unresolved in the record. What makes this file notable is the combination of intermittent signature, repeated sensor reconfiguration, and the absence of a witness statement to contextualize what the platform recorded. Those elements limit what can be concluded from the imagery alone and leave the observation open to further review. Analysts looking at this clip will note how zooming, panning, and modality changes alter the apparent size and contrast of the target, and how intermittent loss of distinctiveness could reflect sensor saturation, background clutter, or a transient thermal or reflective phenomenon. The Department of War provided the footage as a single archive item without an attached analysis in the public file, so independent viewers must rely on the imagery and the brief descriptive notes that accompany it. This video joins other files where limited metadata and changing imaging modes create uncertainty rather than a clear identification. For context, the original source document is linked in the public record, and the entry is part of a broader set of submissions collected by AARO under Pursue. If you're tracking patterns across multiple cases, pay attention to modality switches, target behavior relative to camera motion, and any absence of observer statements, because those factors often shape whether a case can be resolved. Find the source document, related files, and our weekly UAP news podcast at uapdrop.com.